jingly bells, jingle all the way. It's December and really stressed. I'm probably not going to read at all. Yay! Hi guys, it's Leanne and welcome to my December Stack It. Yes, that's right, we are back for another round of Make Leanne make a big stack of books and read them in order and see if she can get to the end, because that's only happened like twice since I've been doing Stack It. Who knows? Who's actually keeping track anymore, because 2019 was a trash fire. Usually December for me goes one of two ways. Either I make an unrealistic stack, which is just like reaching for the heavens and is never gonna happen, but I go into it full of like optimism and joy, or I go the other way where I'm like, I'm not making a stack, I am just going to read whatever I feel like. And this Stack It, I feel like, is somewhere in between. We've hit the middle ground somewhere. I'm still going to make a stack and I'm still going to try and read it in order, but I'm also going to chuck some stuff on it that's just because I just want to read it. I just want to read it. I want to read it. So let's get started, shall we? The first book on my Stack It is one that's it's going to kind of be a sort of controversial addition to Stack It, because this is 100 Nasty Women. This is by Hannah Jewell, who is now my hero. I only ever want to read books from Hannah Jewell for the rest of my life. And I had this on my November Stack It, and I started it in the order that it came on my Stack It TBR, and then I discovered that it was one of those books that I want to dip into. I want to read a couple a day. I don't want to read them all in one go, because I feel like they're fun pick-me-ups. In case you missed my November Stack It, 100 Nasty Women is essentially Hannah Jewell's potted history of 100 really kick-ass women from ancient time to modern time who I guarantee you will never have heard about, because history was written. History was written. I have somehow lapsed into Looney Tunes, which is fair enough, because I was about to say that history is written by white middle-aged cisgendered men who don't care about kick-ass women, so it seems fair to me that I had lapsed into Elmer Fudd for that particular part. Now it is the 6th of December before I have finally managed to film this, and so I have already kind of started on this stack, and so the next thing in my stack was a book which I promised myself that I absolutely would read before the end of 2019. I did have one book that I was determined to do that with, and that was In an Absent Dream by Shauna Maguire. This is the 4th book in the Wayward Children series, which is a series about kids who have, for various reasons throughout time, not fit in very well with their surroundings, who have felt different, who have felt other, and a door or something similar has opened up for them to another world wherein they are perfect. And then these kids are, for whatever reason, unceremoniously kicked out of these portal worlds and dropped back into this world. And you can imagine, if you found the perfect place for you in the world and then you're told you can't be there anymore, it's a bit of a come down to, why are there seagulls outside? It's December in Scotland. Are you not all like dead or hibernating? Do seagulls hibernate? I love birds. I don't know very much about seagulls. So rude. Anyway, these kids find themselves back in our world, and Eleanor West scoops them up and brings them to her school, wherein she teaches them to live as humans again in this world, just in case their doors never open for them again. And I really love that the Wayward Children novellas go present day past, present day past, present day past, which means we're back in the present day for the next one, and I need it right now. I was about to be all, the next book on my stack is, and then I forgot which one of the Phelps children actually wrote this book solely. Megan Phelps wrote this book. Okay, this is Unfollow by Megan Phelps Roper, and you will probably know the name Phelps from the crazy Louis Theroux documentaries about the Phelps family, who were founders of the Westboro Baptist Church, which exists in Topeka, Kansas in the States, and is essentially a hate group which pickets, at the moment, mostly LGBTQ anything. However, they also don't like Jewish people, and to a certain degree they don't like some black people. They don't believe in interracial marriages. There's a whole lot of stuff that they just don't like. And Louis has done 3 on the Westboro Baptist Church. Megan was one of the people who he interviewed in the very first documentaries about this church. Megan has since left the church. She has since got married, had a baby, and has written this book and narrated it herself on audio, which is again entirely heartbreaking. I've already started it because I do tend to listen to an audiobook simultaneously with other things on my stack, and this is her story about growing up in the church, about the sort of disintegration that was happening when she left, and about what she's doing now post the church to try and raise awareness, because she does a lot of speaking and things. Next on my list is one that I am extremely happy to pick up, because nothing says December in festiveness to me as much as Agatha Christie. So I will be picking up Peril at End House. This is the 8th Poirot book in chronological order, and it is part of my Agatha Christie challenge. Now, I realise in saying this that I have never filmed a video officially explaining what my Agatha Christie challenge is. I've just been quietly pottering on with it in the background and enjoying it, and never telling you guys in any kind of detail about what I'm doing. So next year I've decided I'm going to film a video. I'm going to actually, you know, sit down and lay it out to you guys. But essentially I'm trying to read all of Agatha Christie's series in chronological order, and then I'm going to read all of her random standalone works. So I've almost finished Marple, spoiler for the end of this stack, and I've realised that I've been slacking a little bit on Poirot because I hit 2 books in a row that I just wasn't very into. So firstly I hit the big 4, which I DNF'd. It's Agatha Christie does international spy mystery, and I'm not into that. I've said many times on my channel that I like it when she does small and provincial. I don't like it when she does, and I just hit myself in the face. That's probably because I'm speaking ill of Agatha Christie. I'm sorry, God, please don't smite me. I'm a real fan. And that was what the big 4 was. And then I hit the Mystery of the Blue Train, which is a really long book and doesn't need to be. That's all I'm gonna say. However, I am back happily on the Poirot bandwagon, and the next one that I have to pick up is Peril at End House. This one is one that is narrated by Hastings. Hastings does not actually appear in all of the Poirot books, contrary to popular belief. He only appears in a handful, and he narrates them when he does. Hastings is Poirot's accomplice, shall we say. I don't want to call him partner in crime. I want to call him boyfriend. That's what I really want to call him. He's basically Poirot's boyfriend, and I love it because it's a whole lot of boyfriendly banter, and I'm very there for it. I totally ship it. And in this one they have decided that no more foreign travel will happen, because chronologically at this point in Poirot's career he has decided that he has retired. He does not want to do any more sleuthing or detectivising, thank you very much. And he has just had a holiday in France, which has gone pretty badly on the Blue Train, and he doesn't really want to deal with that anymore. So he's decided that surely having a holiday in the south of England at a seaside resort is going to be much calmer. Except he and Hastings are sitting on the veranda of their beautiful hotel, and a woman walks up and plops herself down next to Poirot, and he notices that she has a bullet hole in her hat, and she proceeds to tell him about several brushes with death that she's had very recently, and he's like, somebody trying to kill you, bitch. Like, is you dumb? Is you dumb? Is you dumb though? The next one that I have here for my TBR is kind of a cheeky one, I'm going to be perfectly honest, because I could read it in like 20 minutes and I don't really need to put it on my stack, but I'm going to anyway because I am a fan of the easy tick off on your list. Sometimes you just have to put on your like to-do list for the day, get up, put on underwear, tick tick. You only know that I've done 1 tick on that list. You don't know if I've done both. That's why I film from here up. Just saying. That went a weird place. Anyway, this is Action at a Distance by Ben Aronovich, and it is the 6th or 7th, I want to say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7th! It's the 7th graphic novel in his graphic novel spin-off series from his urban fantasy series, Rivers of London. I'm not going to tell you very much about it because it's the 7th book in a series. Either way, you guys know that I am a Rivers of London fanatic. It is an urban fantasy series which breaks all of the walls of urban fantasy series down with a sledgehammer and inserts much more interesting things in its wake. I love it. I love it. And I will make a full recommendation on, you know, where to start with and stuff about the Rivers of London series next year, just like I did for Discworld, because you guys keep asking me for it, so I'm gonna do it. Next up on my list is one that I actually meant to get to in November before I realised that it was non-fiction November and I could not fit it in. So happily I am going to be fitting it in here, and that is Reaper Man by Terry Pratchett. This is the second book in the Death sub-series. If you guys want to know where to start with Discworld, if it alarms you and terrifies you that there's 40 odd books and many like different ways to read it, please check out this video up here. I will put it in the description below as well. And I fully lay out all of the different ways that you can read the series and make it less intimidating, I promise. I hate when I hear people say that they don't want to jump into Discworld because it scares them, because I'm like, but you must have it in your life, so allow me to demystify it for you. Anyway, for those of you in the know, if you know, you know, this book is probably the one that everybody talks about when they talk about the Death books. So in the first book, Mort Death gets an apprentice and considers giving up his job, and then discovers that the world is going to fall apart if he doesn't exist. And then in this book, Death is like, well, if I can't give up my job, maybe I can go on holiday. I love the blurb on the back of this one as well, which it says, Death is missing, presumed gone, which leads to the kind of chaos you always get when an important public service is withdrawn. Next up, I am just going to have to bite the bullet and finally read Nemesis by Agatha Christie, which is the last Miss Marple book. I've been a Poirot lover my entire life. I have grown up reading Poirot novels, and that was where I thought my heart would lie with Agatha Christie when I started my project of trying to read all of her backlist. And then I discovered, do you know what, actually, I love Miss Marple. I love Miss Marple, and I think I'm going to go as far as to say these are my favourite Agatha Christie books that I've read so far. I love Miss Marple, she's amazing, and Nemesis is the last book in the series, and it's one of the only ones. Usually all of the Marple and Poirot books and most of the books in Agatha Christie's series can be read as standalones, but Nemesis actually harks back to 2 previous books and ties in a criminal who got away, and I have to read it. I have to just bite the bullet and do it. I'm going to try and make myself do it before the end of the year. I'm going to try and like make it a requirement on my TBR. You are going to do this before the end of the year, and see whether my brain just goes. And now we bring ourselves to the end of this strange stacket, wherein I am going to give you a list of books that are annual rereads for me, and that I pretty much am going to read at any point that the festive spirit strikes me. So first of all, of course, we have Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. Now, I missed a couple of years of reading this because Hogfather was just, it was never my favourite book, and I don't know why. But last year I reread Hogfather with the wonderful Kirsty, who I co-host Death by the Books, a podcast all about books where people die, which will be back in January, by the way, in case you're wondering where we've gone. 2019 has been a trash fire which has eaten us, but we will be back in January. Anyhow, I reread Hogfather with Kirsty at the end of last year, and we talked about it, and something clicked, something just, it's up there for one of my favourite Terry Pratchett novels now ever. It's up there for one of my favourite Discworld books. I don't know if I just read it at the right time or if it was the experience of buddy reading it with Kirsty or what it was. It's become so special and iconic for me again. So I am going to be reading Hogfather at some point. And next on my list is a thing that I read almost every year, or I attempt to do almost every year, is I read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. What I attempt to do every year is get as far as Prisoner of Azkaban, because that feels like the Christmas book for me. It's the only book that Voldemort doesn't actually appear in, so it feels like the logical, like the logical happy book. And there's something about the Prisoner of Azkaban movie as well which is very Christmassy for me. I've actually attempted to reread the whole series at various points for the last like 2 or 3 years, and I never seem to get further than Prisoner of Azkaban. So I think this year might be my attempt to start to reread the whole series again. However, I'm definitely rereading at least Philosopher's Stone because it is deeply, deeply Christmas nostalgic for me. Next up, I will probably try and listen to the cast audiobook version of Cold Comfort Farm by Stella Gibbons, because for some reason, although there is a Christmas at Cold Comfort Farm, a short story version, this is the one that I go back to. So in case you don't know anything about Cold Comfort Farm, it is essentially about a young woman who finds herself down on her luck. Her immediate relatives have died, she has no more money, and she has to find relatives to take her in. She's used to a certain class of London society, however she auditions various different relatives, and the ones that she finds that she wants to live with are the Starkadders. But when she gets to Cold Comfort Farm, she discovers that it is a very odd place indeed. She is in the middle of the countryside with countryside people and countryside ways, and she decides that she is going to convert them to her ways. She's going to improve them, and she embarks upon a long campaign to do so. It is a satirical society novel of the 30s. It's amazing. It's just so good. It's so funny. It's so far ahead of its time in its humour, and I love it dearly. So I will probably read that one. And finally on my Christmas list almost every year is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, which yeah, the film does look good. Before you all ask me where I stand on the film thing, the film does look good. I am quite like low-key, high-key, very excited, not low-key at all, very excited for this film. I cannot wait to see it. I do not go to the cinema very often at all to see anything because it is ridiculously expensive, and I will wait for the DVD release. I reread Little Women a lot. It's very nostalgic for me. It's a very childhood book for me. Yes, I understand that there are many flaws in it. However, I believe that some parts of it are deeply feminist, and I love it, and I can't get the rosy glow to go away. I know that there are many parts of this book which are very institutional when it comes to what women should do in society, and you know what women are seen as, and like traditional values and Christian values and blah 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 blah. But I cannot remove it from my treasured read shelf in my heart. So that is it. That is my complete stack at TBR, plus some small additions on the end there that I will get to as the festive period strikes me. One of the things that I do want to tell you guys, partly so that you all stop asking for it, but also mostly so that you have something to look forward to, in January my TBR will be picked by my lovely wife Helen. Lots and lots of you have wanted me to do another weird X picks my TBR video, and lots of you have asked to see what Helen would put on that list. So I have agreed with her that she is allowed to torture. Can you see how painful this is for me from the stuttering? She is allowed to torture me in January with whatever books she wants me to read. So that will be coming to you next year. Yay! So as always, If there are any books on my TBR which you would love to read or are going to pick up because I have convinced you that they sound great, then please let me know about that in the comments. If you have any Christmas traditional books that you read every year, even if they're not Christmas books, because I don't actually read Christmas books at Christmas. Like, I don't regularly reread the Christmas editions of Poirot and things like that. I don't. I read things that feel nostalgic to me. So if you have any traditional reads for you that you read at Christmas, please tell me about them in the comments. And also, you know, if there are any books on my list that you just think are trash and you want me to burn, tell me about that too, because Christmas is stressful and ranting in my comment section might make you feel better about the experience. I hope you are all having fun, wonderful festive experiences and that you are not on the extreme struggle bus end of family and present buying. And yeah, I will speak to you guys soon. Bye. Oh, and by the way, keep your eyes peeled at the end of the year because I have a very special giveaway coming up just for you guys, because I love you so much. That was horrifying. I'm leaving now. I'm leaving. Goodbye.